live here in San Francisco with Amber AC.
Hi.
I'm Ariadne Ramundakis. You can call me Ari. And we're doing graphic design today. So Amber is a graphic designer from Los Angeles visiting us here. We're really happy to have you.
Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
And we're happy to have everyone in the chat. So let us know where you're from. As always, we love to say hello. Hi, Pokihan. Hi, Lucia, Lauren, Jordan, Anzi Media. I guess that's your company name, and your name is Anna. Hey, Heidi. Good to see you again. Hey, Kita. Hey, girl, hey.
From
Lucia
Italy.
From Italy. Great.
Cool.
Have you been to Italy?
No, I'm dreaming to go to Italy.
I'm going this summer. I'm very excited.
Really?
Yeah, I'm going to the Amalfi Coast.
Ooh.
So that'll be fun.
Take me with you.
Oh, I wish I could. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
You never know what can happen.
Yeah, this could be a lifelong friendship out of this.
Hi, Nada from Mexico. Hi, Val. Eliana, Munir.
Istanbul.
So, Munir, you're in Istanbul now. Did you move from Morocco? We need to know about your life moments. Hugo from California, but in Michigan. Natalia from Greece. Hi. Special Yasu to our Greek friend. Anyone who's Greek gets a special hello from me because I'm Greek.
Oh, good. Anyone from LA gets a special hello from me.
Yeah. And from Pasadena specifically,
Yeah,
right?
Pasadena.
Anyone in Pasadena? Hi, Anita, Murat. Let us know if you're into graphic design, branding. That's what we'll be doing today. Lucia says, I will move to Greece. Or maybe she'll be in Greece. Adjective, hello from Arizona. Marcy from Chicago. Great. Well, now that we have all of our group together, let's talk about what's happening today. So we have Amber here. She's going to be doing a new brand identity, but we also have a full week of Adobe Live. Just like always, there's a lot for you to catch up on. So you have seen today, all throughout the day, you've had all of these challenges. We had UX design with Mark Anderson, and then we have the XD and photography daily challenges. So stay tuned. This will be going on the next 2 days. And for the photography daily challenge, you can see the info on the challenge tab just above the chat where you're chatting now on Behance. So click on that and you'll see that we have our Photoshop daily challenge going on. It's challenge number 6 today, and today is removing a distracting object from your photos. So I encourage you to go ahead and join our community chat on Discord, and you can check out all of the information there. You can enter the challenge. This is the link to Discord. It's super fun. You can chat with other people, ask questions, get advice from people at Adobe, such as Terry White, who was just live before, Paul Trani, people on the live team. There's a lot of great resources there for you. And we'll be looking on there later to see what you've submitted. And I'd love to see your photos with distracting images removed, because that's something I always want to do. I'm like, oh, there's a pole there. I want to take it out. Or wires in the sky, all that kind of stuff. It's very useful to be able to do that. So we'll be looking at that later. And we also have a chat and win today. So look forward to that. Stay active in the chat, and there's a lot more for you this week. Let's jump into what Amber has for us today. And by the way, Amber's name is pronounced Amber AC, for those of you that are wondering.
Like the letters AC, or think ACDC, whatever helps.
Heavy metal. Okay, so today you're going to be working on, is it a real brand that we're working on?
So today I'm working on an actual client project. And I think doing that is a lot of fun, because then you get to see a little more behind the scenes of how everything goes down. And so this is kind of a quick mood board of what I'm going to be working on today. So this client project, they are a small team coming out of the business college at UCLA, and they found me since we're both LA locals, and And so they reached out to me to put together a brand and identity and also packaging for a mezcal product. It's going to be mezcal ready to drink cocktail from a can. And so that was really exciting to me. And so, of course, I took on the project. And I sent them a brand questionnaire to understand more about what their goals for the project are and kind of the story that they want to hold on to for the brand. And then also we put together a couple of mood boards. And so this is where the final mood board landed. We did a couple of rounds of mood boards. I think that's always helpful because it helps get a lot of visuals out there and discussions about what do you want the brand to look like, how do you want it to feel, all of that. And this was the overall look that we landed on, and a couple of tone words. They want it to feel authentic and adventurous and but warm. So we have a lot of warm tones in there. They want it to feel raw. They also want it to feel California, and basically overall just a little moments of like playfulness into it as well.
That's really cool. So for those of you that are just joining, we're looking at Amber's mood board for working on a mezcal brand. And these are some of the images that she used to pitch them. Michael asks, do you always set time constraints for mood boards?
Time constraints
I don't know
as
what
far
it
as...
I was hoping you knew what that means.
Is that revisions? I'm not really sure. Typically, we go through 3 rounds of revisions for mood boards. I start off with, here's a quick little behind the scenes. So I usually start off with, here's what round 1 looked like.
Maybe he's asking because you said that was the final round. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a good answer.
So here's what round 1 looked like. So we had option 1, which is a little more of a hippie vibe, I guess you could say. Option 2, which was much more dark and more minimal, a lot less color, a little edgier, I guess you could say. And then option 3, which was extremely colorful, really playful, bold, bright, optimistic. And so what ended up happening, and this kind of always happens, but I like doing that at the beginning to kind of set a range of options to say this is how far we could push the brand colorful wise, or this is where I see where we could take it based on the brand questionnaire. And a lot of this what ends up happening is they like to put together kind of a mashup of all 3 of these. And so that's what this ended up being, was we kind of picked and pulled from their favorites and talked about which ones were their favorites and why. And so a lot of the things that we explored here was they loved the color of, especially this top left, bottom right. They loved the color and the simple shapes of those. They loved like the overall scene that those presented. We also like the idea of sun and bringing some kind of a sun in here. And so there's this really cool matchbox that we were referencing with the sun in it, and some of these like block prints as well, that kind of gave off this sun vibe. And so we like that idea. We like it feeling a little beachy too. They want this can to be like very much an on-the-go, bring it with you to the beach kind of a product. So we have a lot of beach scenes in here and beach references, and then some geometric vibes as well to kind of get more of like an Aztec feel into it, especially since the product is coming from Mexico.
Owen asked if the clients send you, if the clients send you mood boards or images, did they send you any of these inspirational images?
They didn't. So what we end up doing is, after the brand questionnaire, then I put together a mood board based on everything that we talked about, and that's how this initial mood board started.
Is there a questionnaire that you send to everybody, like a
Yeah.
template?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's like the same questions. A lot of them are who are your competitors, and some of the other questions are what other brands do you like, and what brands do you aspire to be like? And so that's a lot of what goes into some of this is knowing and understanding what visuals they like and what brands and why. But it's Michael Orr asked, how long does it take you to compile? Usually for mood board process, it ends up being like 2 to 3 weeks, and the actual time spent putting together the mood boards, I would say the first actual, like the 3 mood boards that I do, that usually takes like 2 hours of compiling and grabbing images and things like that, and then putting a lot of that together into, I put this in InDesign and compile it together that way as well.
That's awesome. Those all look really cool.
Thank you.
I wouldn't know what to choose at all, which
Yeah.
is probably why they said, we like that from one thing from each.
Exactly. Yeah, so that's why it kind of ended up here, because they want it to be like cool and hip, but they also want it to be liked by the masses, because this will be a product that will sell at stores and that they hope to really get out there and in front of a lot of people. So knowing that, it's good to know what your target audience is going to be and who you're designing for. And so I try to step outside of what my preferences are, and like to kind of analyze people and analyze their styles and what they like to do. And so this is kind of creating a character or a personality, so to speak.
Got it. So we have a few more people have joined. Akash from India, Ismail from Nigeria. Hi, welcome. Let us know where you're from, even if you join throughout the stream. And we'll keep talking about Amber's process in designing a brand identity for a mezcal brand. Pokey asked, what's the name of the brand? So maybe we should go further and show your work.
So they came to us with a couple of name ideas, and I also like to help with naming, because that ends up being a make or break for a brand for me. Is the name has to be good and it has to be memorable. And so the name that we were talking about and that they ended up landing on was Elenita. And they like it because someone from their team, her name's Elena, and she said that whenever she drinks mezcal, she feels like she becomes another person, and that it's like liberating for her. And she might be drinking it when she's traveling to Mexico, for example, or when she's hanging out on the beach. And so she said that Elenita is the person that you can become, or the potential that you have when you're drinking mezcal. And so yeah, that was the thinking behind the name. And so the way that I always start is I always start with just getting type out there. So with the logo, how it's going to look on the can, I just want to explore a bunch of different type. And I'll do this about, 20 or 30 times.
Wow.
Or about 20 or 30 different type options, just to get a lot of type out there, because I don't like having blinders on when I'm designing. I like to just explore and let loose and not restrict myself. And so sometimes as I go, I realize, there's I didn't even think about this one, but this one could be really cool. And I also explore type online as well. So like Adobe fonts, for example.
Great place.
Yeah. So I'll throw, I'll search through this and activate a few of my favorites.
So would you, I noticed that everything's all caps. Would you explore having a lowercase version, or were you set from the beginning that it's all caps?
I think for this particular product, I want it to be all caps. just because it'll feel stronger. And but usually when I go into a project, I like to explore all the options. So I would usually do a title case option or an all lowercase option and then an uppercase, and present those to the client so that they can kind of gauge which ones they like. Oh, there's Shauna. Hi, Shauna.
Hey, welcome.
One of my friends.
Yeah, she's a great friend of Adobe Live, too.
Yeah.
Hey, Massimiliano, good to see you. Hey, Ramez. So in Adobe fonts, too, you can use the filters. So if you see some style you like for this one, it seems like script isn't going to work.
Yeah.
Because it's not really good for all caps, but you can limit it to a certain style and see how that works for the word you're using, which could be helpful.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm exploring a few here. There's a few that I like that I've come across on Adobe. Let's see.
Sulky says, I guess the question is, when you decide on a font that you like, do you usually modify it when you're using it for a logo?
Yeah, so sometimes it depends on depends on the word itself, if I feel like it has potential to be modified. Sometimes the type itself that I find, I like to look for something that feels like it has a little more character and isn't just so straightforward or plain. And I also I'll also even do my own type design. And I like doing that because it offers them something new and unique that they've never seen before, and also offers them a logo that no one else can have. And I feel like a lot of clients tend to like that when I do completely custom fonts, because they find it helps it feel even more customized for them.
Yeah. And also, I don't know if you, like, when you're using a font, you might think that it looks good, and then you can look within the font's features to see, like, maybe it has an alternate character with a different kind of swash or something. Like, I think a lot of people don't realize that sometimes what you see is only one part of the font, and fonts are written with tons of features.
Yeah.
So if you go on Illustrator and you highlight each character, you might see that there's alternates for each one, or there might be like small caps or different iterations of it. So that's useful to look into too.
Yeah, that's true. And so for this one, since it's a lot of the focus is going to be on the can itself, and that will be the introduction to the brand, I want to make sure that the logo itself is going to be really simple and clean. So I'm kind of just going through right now, keeping it quick and dirty, and looking for a couple of design options of what we could work with on the can itself. So what I usually do too is I work initially in Illustrator, and it becomes my favorite process to just get messy. I feel like an artist sometimes, where I've got like my paints out and a canvas and a blank canvas to work with, and like in that sense, I feel like it's fun to just get messy and to explore, and it's in that exploration that I feel like you find the solution and you find the perfect design for it. And so it's never just something that comes to mind right away. It's always found in exploration for me. So I really like this logo, this font for logo. It was from Adobe Fonts.
It's designed by Maddox Schuler from Fort Foundry, and it's called Bourbon. But It also looks good on a mezcal can.
Yeah. I like it because it feels like there's a little bit of ephemera that goes with it, or it feels like some of the signage you would see, like the ghost signs walking around Mexico.
Yeah.
And so,
looks
I'm
pretty
going to hold on to
vintage.
this one as an option.
Heidi asked about your training background. We haven't mentioned how you got into
Oh, yeah.
graphic design.
So I got my first official design job about almost 9 years ago now. So I've been designing full-time for about 9 years. I went to design school. I graduated with a BFA in graphic design, which I felt like really helped kind of set me up for design, even though it was something I was always kind of interested in, especially in high school. When I would write notes to friends, I would go crazy with my lettering, or with, I would even scrapbook. I don't know,
Yeah.
did you ever scrapbook back in the day?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like sometimes the things we do in high school really set us up for what we'll do later on in life. And so a lot of the scrapbooking that I did, it was really gross and really messy, but I would just go crazy with fonts on my scrapbooks.
But it's more about like the effort you put in.
Yeah.
Like maybe one of your friends did scrapbooking, but they didn't care like where the title was
Yeah,
and
exactly.
what colors they used, but you were like very
Yeah, and it was a
particular.
gift. Like, that was something I would gift to a lot of people, or a lot of my friends, was, hey, I made this scrapbook for you. And it was just something that I knew I could do and had a lot of fun doing, and it was easy to gift to everyone. So yeah.
Okay, so your first design job was about 9 years ago. Did
Yeah.
you go to school for design?
Yeah, I did. And I graduated with a BFA in graphic design. So, yeah, after that, I hopped around. I worked at, 5 or 6 different places. And then a couple years ago, I decided to go full-time freelance. And after going freelance and realizing how much I loved it, I decided I wanted to start my own studio. So the name of my studio is called Nice People. And it is in the very beginning stages of becoming hopefully a bigger studio. But there's about 5 or 6 of us that work together in Nice People. I have subcontractors that I reach out to and use, copywriters, developers, other designers, and
I have the Nice People Behance page on my screen.
yeah.
You guys can, I'll show it to you, and you can go ahead and follow Nice People and see all the great work that Amber does.
Yeah, I'm in the process of hiring a project manager right now, and have already interviewed about 10 people. And when I get back from being here, then I'm going to finish that up and finally find someone. So that'll be
if
exciting
anyone's
too.
interested in working with you,
Yeah.
can they reach out?
Yeah, if you
Cool.
are a project manager by any means, feel free to email info@nicepeople or amber@nicepeopleco.com. And yeah, I kind of like collecting people.
Yeah.
And surrounding myself with people that I like working with. And
But you have to be nice. That's the
yeah.
only problem.
Yeah.
Like if you're not nice, she's not going to want you.
Yeah. And same with clients. We have a vetting process for the clients we take on, because I have dealt with a lot of difficult clients in the past. And so yeah, we are also only interested in working with clients that are gracious, that are collaborative, that aren't high maintenance or demanding, because that can easily kill creativity, in my opinion. So
Sure.
So yeah, we like having just positive energy with our projects, and really collaborating with other people.
Great. So let's jump back into Illustrator, and I'll take this moment to remind you that we have a chat and win. So in 5 minutes, we are going to pick a random winner from the chat. All you have to do is be active in the chat, say anything you want, and we're going to pick someone to win 100 stickers from Sticker Mule. So Sticker Mule is the best place to create your own custom stickers. And if you win, you can get 100 3-inch by 3-inch stickers of your choice. And we'll contact you through Behance for those details. So that is a great opportunity for you. And even if you don't win, we still have an offer for you. So stay in the chat for the next 4 minutes and we'll find the winner.
Cool. I love Sticker Mule.
Yeah.
So what I'm working on now is I'm just gonna start putting together this can design. And what I do sometimes too is, especially at the beginning, it's a lot easier to work when you have your reference, your reference material. And so I always like to grab my mood board and drop it into my Illustrator file as well. I don't know, does anyone else do this?
I've seen a lot of people do that on the streams.
Yeah.
And people on the streams are usually very successful that we bring on. So
Yeah.
that's a good sign, I think.
Yeah. So sometimes I'll just like grab quick swatches from my actual mood board as well, just to get exploring with color.
Does anyone drink mezcal in the chat?
Any Mezcal fans?
What's in the Elenita cocktail?
Oh, that's a good question. So they gave me a couple of flavors to work with, and I dropped that in here. So, and a couple of keywords to use on the package itself. So the first flavor that we're going to work with is cucumber lime basil. And then they also want words like artisanal on there. They also were talking about the actual agave plant that they use for it, for this particular product. The client, they've been flying back and forth to Mexico, sampling different product and flavor combinations. And so they've been doing a ton of work on their end as well. And then provided me with some of this information of where it's distilled. And so I'm going to kind of have fun and use as much of that language as possible to throw onto this can as well.
Cool. So mezcal is a tequila, for those of you. Someone asked, what is mezcal?
Oh yeah, it's made from an agave plant. And in their distillation process, they smoke the agave plant as well, and so it has a very smoky flavor, and a little goes a long way. So so I think with this cucumber lime basil, I haven't tried it, but they've been working on it, getting their prototype together, and I'm assuming the cucumber lime basil will be smoky flavored too. So that's interesting as well.
Yeah, it sounds really good. It's not time. It's 1 o'clock here in San Francisco. Maybe it's late enough to have a mezcal cocktail.
Yeah. I mean,
Maybe
some
tomorrow I'll
designers will
bring
drink
some.
all day while they work too. Do you have any freelancers out there? Just, you can do whatever
which of
you
are
want.
drinking? So chat and win, less than a minute left, and I'll give you the signal when it's time. Lucia says, I love all the alcoholic drinks. Ha ha ha. Oh, Massimiliano doesn't drink and create. Well, everyone should know their limits. you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Not
I mean,
everyone can drink and create.
Yeah. There's a time and place for everything, right?
Yes. Okay, so let us know what your favorite cocktail is in the chat. And we have 3 seconds left. So let's start our chat and win now.
Cool.
Let us know what cocktails you like. Let's go. Okay, chat hype. So what kind of cocktails do you like to drink? Oh, Negroni, Lucia. Best is grappa.
Shrimp.
Shrimp
Yeah.
cocktail. Yeah. If you don't
Clever.
drink alcohol, you can have a shrimp cocktail. Mojitos, vodka tonic,
Oh, wow.
margarita. Ooh, you can have a
Mezcal.
mezcal margarita.
Scotch from Gerard. All of
Raphael, Thomas, Milton, everybody's chatting.
Mojitos. Moscow
Oh, we
Mule.
already have a winner. Hugo Mendoza.
Cool.
Congratulations. Cheers
Congrats,
to you.
Hugo.
Hugo, you get 100 free stickers from Sticker Mule. So we can't wait to see what kind of stickers you create. And maybe you can send me one for my laptop.
Oh, yeah. Look
I
at
don't
me. I'm so bare.
She really
I just,
needs one.
I just keep it clean over here. I don't know. I'm like one of those people who probably like has nothing on their fridge too.
Yeah,
Do you have
probably.
stickers all over your fridge?
I do.
Yeah.
I have magnets. But for those of you that didn't win, we actually have a promotional link on Sticker Mule. So you can do Sticker Mule and /Adobe Live 19 and you will get a discount on your custom stickers. So don't be too sad if you didn't win. You can still get a discount. And congrats to Hugo. I see him in the chat.
Yeah,
Great job.
go Hugo.
And congrats to everyone else for being here because we're all in this wonderful community together, participating.
Yes.
And we'll continue working on our branding.
Oh, see, look, Michael, or he says less is more. So he's with me. Michael, do you...
What?
The
Oh, the stickers. I totally forgot.
Michael, do you have a an empty fridge as well?
Not inside, just outside.
Oh yeah, sorry. We should clarify that. A full fridge is great. The exterior of your fridge,
Yeah.
though, nice and clean. So when I work, sometimes I'll sketch. It depends on the project, but sometimes I'll do a couple sketches. I think for the sake of this live stream, I'm just gonna like get right in and get to it. Mm-hmm. But I'm a heavy Pinterester or pinner.
Oh.
And I have a full
You have a board.
board. Where did it go? It's not showing up for me.
Boards. Yeah, maybe there. Oh, you have a lot. Oh, there it is.
There it is. 339 pins.
Wow.
So I just like get busy and I put a ton of stuff up here. I was exploring a couple of other suns, looking at type references. Like some of these suns are really cool too. Mm-hmm. Very geometric. A lot of like hand-drawn stuff as well. I like this little like painted agave plant too. And that was another thing too, is knowing and understanding what agave looks like. And so this particular agave espadin, I've never heard of it before. I'm not an agave expert, and it takes a lot of research to actually figure out more about my clients' projects and what they're doing. And so one thing that I noticed about this particular agave plant is it's not one of those ones that have like really thick leaves that we're used to seeing. It's actually really skinny. So I think I'm gonna pull in some kind of a logo mark that's going to reflect this particular agave plant that they're using. Something with skinny leaves.
Yeah, it's really striking.
Yeah.
And kind of like aggressive looking.
Yeah. So like, I'm gonna start drawing some agave. And I'm gonna mimic a leaf. So what I'm doing here is, after I make a line, I love to just throw some widths into it as well. Mm-hmm. Maybe I'll make it a little thinner. And a little thicker here. And then doing a little bit of paste in place. And getting in some of this like radial feel into it.
See how easy it is?
I use a lot of, like I'll do reflect a lot.
Yeah.
What is that? Shift O, or yeah, O shift. Or rotate tool.
When you adjusted the width, did you have to hold down something on your keyboard?
Yes. So Shift W, and then
Oh, okay.
and then you just like make a mark, and then drag basically.
So if you have Shift W held down, wherever you click, it will add the width to that point.
Yeah. And sometimes what I'll do too is if I don't want it to go this far to the edge, then I'll just double click here. It'll pop up the points, and then I'll just click OK to keep it as is. So I'm basically saying hold on to your width on that point and on that point, and then this point is going to get thicker. And so you can create like different width variations and have a lot more control over where you want it to get wide.
Yeah, that's cool.
And so yeah, like you could really just have a lot of fun with this. And
Yeah.
like especially with like plants, or helping this feel a little more like natural. Then it's kind of fun to like play up with some of those widths.
Yeah. So a few people have just joined, so we will
Hello,
give you a
hello.
recap.
Welcome.
Hi. We're doing a Mezcal can branding. A couple people said bottle. It's going to be on a can. So that makes it
yeah.
a little different, because I'm expecting that you have to wrap all the way around, right?
Yeah. So they told me, Googling 12 ounces.
Oh,
Okay,
so it's the same
12
as
ounce
a Coke
can.
can?
They told me it's going to be like this kind of a can.
Oh, okay.
That's tall and skinny and doesn't have that like ridge at the
Got
very
it.
top. Kind of like we can just grab this as a reference.
Mm-hmm.
Or like I can just grab a blank can and put it on my artboard for now.
I feel like a lot of these canned alcoholic drinks are that long.
Yeah, and especially since it's becoming more and more popular, I feel like now everyone's into that slender can.
Yeah.
It's like a little prettier.
It's elegant.
It's cool and hip. No more squatty cans.
Yeah. Lauren says, thank goodness. I don't think the shorter can would look right for this type of drink.
Yeah, that's true. It kind of helps it. And
Yeah.
so yeah, it's basically going to be like this.
Nice.
This is not sponsored by Dasani. But yeah, that's basically the can. So I kind of like this idea of having what looks like a label on a can, instead of it feeling like it's the full can.
Okay.
And so what I'm doing here is I'm kind of creating this this label look, and I was thinking the full can itself is going to be a different color, and probably have a pattern behind it.
So will there still be a plastic wrapping around the whole thing?
It's going to be, I think, there's a couple of processes with cans. If you're going to do a short run, it has to be shrink wrapped. Otherwise, it gets really pricey. Bless you.
Excuse me.
And then if they're going to print on the actual can, then it actually takes a lot of work, or a huge run. So it's going to be like, I don't know, tens of thousands of cans that they're going to print if they're going to do it that way. So this method, until they get bigger, right now what they're going to do is do small runs. And so it'll be actually shrink wrapped around the can.
That's tough to have to consider these things as well.
Yeah.
Because it's like all well and good when you're all artistic and this is what I'm going to put on the can. And then they tell you, oh, this is the production, like, I don't know, method.
Yeah.
And now everything gets thrown out the window.
It's true. And it's like a lot of these things you have to consider with the can itself, making sure that it feels right and that it's and that you know how it's going to be produced as well. So when you start a new project, what I like to do is ask as many questions as possible, figuring out where my limits are, what I have to work with. Because when you don't ask those questions, I found that I end up having a lot more work to do.
Yeah.
Because I have to like go backwards, and I have to sometimes people will change the physical product shape or bottle during the process, and in that sense it completely changes the design. You have to redesign, you have to redo some of the elements. Sometimes if you have the logo going like one way or the other on the can, you have to almost redesign the logo or resize it so that it'll fit on the new can. So I think having as much information as possible, especially when it comes to what like size and ratio you're going to work in, I think a lot of that helps.
Yeah. Munir asks, have you ever had a client, well, this isn't his question, but I will ask it this way.
Okay.
Have you, because you've said you vet your clients, but have you ever had a client that seemed nice at the beginning, but then they start acting rude in the middle of the project?
Yeah. I feel like...
how did you deal with that?
How do I deal with it? I think when it gets to that point, sometimes it's because of stress. I think when a client starts to get aggravated or rude, or as the project goes, the relationship starts to turn more and more sour. I think the reason that happens is because of stress. And you have to like step back sometimes. It depends on how much you value that client and that relationship, but you have to step back and have conversations with them and dig a little deeper and figure out. I mean, there's kind of a lot of customer service that goes into being a freelancer, because you're working directly with the designer or with the client, and you have to really understand what they're stressed about, what can you do to help, what are some things that they're doing that like can relieve that stress, because everyone's up against a timeline or a deadline, and everyone's and so I think any way to relieve that stress is a good way to help the project continue on. And so sometimes if I really value that relationship, like sometimes I'll bend over, or not bend over backwards, but I'll put a little more effort in, because I don't want that project to fail, and because I feel like I've already invested a lot of time into that project. Then I'll say, what can I do to help this? Or I'll throw in a few freebies here or there, or I'll say, this isn't part of the scope, but it's on me, or I'll cover this part because I want to make sure that we can get this finished and that you can be happy. So yeah.
That's a great answer. Hi, Carlos from Brazil. Welcome. Heidi says, Amber has a good sense for client relations. What an important skill.
Thank you, Heidi. It takes a lot of energy. It's exhausting sometimes, managing clients and figuring out the ins and outs of all of that. So, yeah.
Pokey has a PSA that Grumpy Cat died. Yeah, Pokey,
yeah.
you're a little late to the news,
That was
but
a couple of
it's
days
still
ago.
very tragic. And Pokey says, I drew her a picture in her honor. That's very
Aw.
nice.
I loved Grumpy Cat. I'm a cat
know.
lover. Do you have any pets?
I don't. Do you have cats?
Yeah, we have cats at home, and they're a lot of fun.
Yeah. Christy Stevens is in the chat. Is she your
Hi,
friend?
Christy. Yeah,
Hey,
one of my
Christy.
LA girls. Trying to say that with the least Valley girl. Can you tell? No.
LA girls.
I think I'm going to make this into a pattern.
Ooh, that was quick.
Anyone have fun with the pattern tool?
That's so cool.
I think I'm going to make an agave pattern for the full can and then put all of the logo and other information on what looks like a label. It's not a real label. It's just like, you know, that look of layered paper.
Yeah.
That scrapbook look. I'm bringing my scrapbook history right back into it.
Joanna says, how many design logo ideas do you think is better to present to the client? Because as far as I have seen, if you have one idea, they want more.
Oh yeah. How many do I present? Is that what the question was?
How many
I usually
design
present 3 ideas or 3 concepts. And I think when it comes to 3 feels like a magic number, because when you present 2, I found that there's always clearly one better than the other. And it's like, I mean, almost everyone can see it. It's like so obvious that one is so much better than the other. And so I think putting 3 into it, it really helps to have like the 2 options and then to have a 3rd option just in case. And so having those 3, I think, is just like this nice, happy place. Sometimes I do more though, but I never do less than 3.
Okay. We have a request to explain the pattern tool more.
Oh yeah. Okay, so
Can we start over?
yeah. We've got, so here's my, and I didn't even expand it. It's still like the lines and all of that. And then you go to pattern and then make, and then this little window pops up.
Why are the other ones a different color?
So this one is the active one that I can move around. And then it's showing that whatever I move here, it's going to change in the pattern.
Oh, okay.
It's
like they're waving.
So those are basically all of its clones,
Okay.
I guess you could say. And then in this little box window, you can mix up some of the way that it's laid out. So in this sense, I'm going to do brick by row. You can also offset it a different way. So if I didn't want it to be perfectly, which actually that kind of looks nice. So maybe I'll do that. It's creating this nice diagonal across. And then I'm going to space it out too. So I'm going to add some width and height to it. This, you can actually change what the copies look like. So
Oh, okay.
right now it's dim, but I can actually turn that off if I want to.
Got it.
But yeah, it's fun to just play around. You can name it. I don't usually name my patterns, but you can. And then once you exit out of it, it created that pattern in the swatch, in your swatch panel. So that new pattern that I created, I can just go into
nice.
it. And right
Is
now,
that going to remain there till the next time you go into Illustrator?
yeah, so then that swatch will always be in my swatch panel. Not in every file, just the file that it's created in.
Okay.
And then if I want to edit it, then you just double click the swatch and then go back in. So I think I want it to actually be a little smaller, like that.
It looks more like a field now.
Yeah.
Now that they're diagonal.
That's true.
It's really cool.
Yeah, I'm liking where that's going. I might, maybe they're a little too spaced out. Let's see.
Ty Harris, hello.
Hi.
He says, I just sat down in the Nashville airport for our layover, opened up
Ooh.
my laptop to work on a branding project, and saw the Behance alert for today's live session.
Yay, thanks for joining in an airport.
I know. We're glad to keep you company on your layover. So, Dhananjay, if you rewind a little bit to the beginning of this session, you'll see Amber's process for picking the font for the logo. So she goes through a lot of different iterations, and if you just rewind a little bit, you'll see that. Can I point out a spelling error?
Yeah.
Artisanal,
Oh, yeah.
S-A-N. I was like, there's
Thank
something
you.
wrong about this. I can't tell.
I
what it is.
always have spelling errors, or sometimes my quick keys end up in the text box. So I've got things like a Z or a W. Does anyone else get that? And then like the client will be like, this is approved, but there's a W in the body copy. And I'm like, oh, how did that get there? I don't know. And like, it's kind of fun. So in this version, I want this to kind of look like a sign. And you know those old iron signs where they've got like on either end,
Like does it have bolts?
yeah. So I think I want to create this
cool.
like iron look,
Oh, I see.
and I think some of that will help this part feel a little bolder.
Yeah, that's cool. Lucia, you asked this earlier. I forgot to ask it. Have you ever had a client come back with your proposal with a file in which they modified your proposal, like your mood board? Are they like, we like this mood board, and here's our version, and you're like, that's not what I sent you.
Yeah, sometimes I'll get that. And like, especially when there's more than one person on the client team and they know how to use Adobe programs, and then they like to just get into the program and start working on your file, or just like modifying it in Photoshop or things like that. So sometimes I'll get that. Usually when that happens, it's a client that's saying, this is really bad, but this is kind of what I'm trying to get at, because they're having a hard time explaining what they were looking for. And so then I'll take that and then modify it to be better, or to say, I see where you're coming from. This is what I, as a designer, would do to help it. And they appreciate that. And I think they like being able to feel like they're kind of interacting with the design or being a part of the process. Or even in mood boards, like sometimes I'll send them a mood board and then they'll say, this is great, but here's my version with a few other modifications that it was just easier for me to do than tell you. And so then I was like, okay, that works. And they'll kind of rearrange and, put in their own images into it. And so I'll sometimes, if I like it, then that's good. But sometimes if it felt like it just went completely different, or like in a completely different direction, I'll either take it with a grain of salt and just go into the design process, or I'll say, let's talk through this and talk through why it got this to this place and how we can make it better. Because sometimes there's a lot of compromise that has to happen. And as long as they trust you, and the way to gain their trust is having in-person conversations and phone calls, because I feel like once they really get to know you and who you are, then they'll trust you a little better. And you're not just some executor that's like states away working on a project for them. Yeah.
Rodrigo asked, did you use a shortcut to track the letters?
Yeah, so what I use is Option and Arrow.
Oh, okay.
So I do that all the time.
I'm writing that down. I didn't know about that.
I just play with my arrows, and it's just like an accordion over here. But yeah, it's just really easy to be like, especially when I don't go by numbers, I just go by visuals and what looks right.
Sometimes you're like, when you're using the tracking arrow and you're seeing the number, it might
Yeah.
actually distract you from what your eye, because your eye is the best judge. And then if you're like, should it be 50 or 25?
Yeah.
Like, that might be distracting when you're trying to find exact numbers.
Yeah. And it's true. And like, so here's a good example of something too. With fonts, when I like to, I actually, here I can show you. I like to bookmark a lot of things, and I bookmark all of my...
Wow, you have so many.
I bookmark all of my favorite foundries because I feel like the ones that are slightly ahead of the type game usually tend to be individual type designers and smaller boutique type foundries. And so they're the ones that are creating the latest and greatest or something that was just released like a month ago or whatever.
Yeah, it's
so
great
I
to
like
use
pulling
new
from
things.
I like researching and seeing those, and a lot of the times those people will be the ones that are setting them up as trial fonts too. And so this font in particular that I'm working with, it's called Baton, and it is a trial font, and oops, what did I do here? And this 100% is not the font. This defaulted to Helvetica because it's a trial.
'Cause they don't allow you to use every character.
Yeah, so it's one of those things where I'll take the project as far as it can go with these trial fonts until it's approved. And then once it's approved, then I say, okay, great. Now you should buy the license for this font so that we can send this to print and make it official. And so that's when it's nice to work with a lot of the trial fonts at the beginning, because you can have like 3 or 4 different iterations of a design, and it's easier to work through those trials, see which ones are working the best, because you never know at last minute someone on the client side, if they're a bigger team, can come in and say, but we're going to change that font. And so it's better to do it when it's approved and when it's really final.
Yeah, and someone asked earlier, do you have to buy the fonts if you're gonna modify them? And I just wanted to address that you should have a license to use the fonts. That might not mean buying it. It might mean that you get it from the Adobe Fonts service, or that if you have a trial license like this, that is a license to use the font in this particular way. So for this license, it's like you can use it to try out. You can't use it for commercial use. You will have a limited set of characters, but that's the license that they give you when you download it as a trial. From Adobe Fonts, if you activate a font, you can use it for commercial use. You can use it for a logo or any of those things. You can use it on the web. So make sure that you read up on what the license is for each font that you either purchase or activate, or like if you go on Google Fonts, those fonts are open source, so you don't have to buy them. They're free to use, but every font has a license. And even if you are going to use it for a very specific part of your project, make sure that you are allowed to use it.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And I saw someone ask, do you discuss purchasing fonts ahead of time? Corey Davis asked. And yeah, in my initial contract, I'll say this is the price of the branding, and this does not include printing costs, any third-party costs if it's going to be with a website, or any fonts. And so I explicitly will say it doesn't include like a font license, for example, and that would need to be purchased after. But I also sometimes I'll tell the client that won't be purchased without their approval. And so so sometimes I'll purchase for them if they don't want to, for example, if they don't want to have to buy it themselves, or if it's a really complicated process for them, then I'll buy it for them and then just expense it for them. And then once I have their approval, then I'll do that. And Shauna also said, if you're unsure, you can always email the foundries. Was that about...
If you're unsure about the license.
The license, yeah.
But
yeah.
before emailing them, read the end user license agreement because that's easier than bothering people.
Yeah.
But if you read that and you're still unsure, you should definitely email and ask before you do something that would be in violation of their license, because you want to, first of all, respect the work that the designer put into it, and also make sure that you protect your client from any legal action. Like a foundry could see that the font was misused, and in the end, the client's going to come to you and say, like, hey, did you get a license for this? Or you're responsible for that kind of thing because your client may not know about fonts. I mean, who knows in the world? There's a very small minority of people that understand like font licensing and that actual people design fonts, and there's certain things rules you have to follow. So.
Yeah. And like, I mean, really, type designers for me are like my greatest asset for some of my projects. And I kind of feel like I consider them like a contractor for me in a sense, like that I would want to pay because I'm using their work. And so, and it's nice to have a good relationship with type foundries or type designers. Like there's a few that like I'll talk to on Instagram a lot or things like that and get really excited about their work. And then they like what I do with their work, and then they'll repost it or share it with other people. And so I think a lot of that it's like a nice camaraderie, having the designers and the type designers like being friends and all getting along.
Yeah.
You know, so.
And they love seeing how their work is used.
Yeah.
So even if any of you in the chat use fonts, definitely look up who the designer is, and if you're posting something on Behance, you can credit them, credit the foundry. Since I work with a lot of type designers working on Adobe fonts on our service, I get questions all the time like, I want to see who's using them, because we have so many users.
Yeah.
And it's not easy for them to see because they put their heart and soul into something and then they put it out there. It's like you designing this can. Like if you never saw anyone holding the can, you would be like, where's my design work?
Yeah.
Like, I want to be validated and see what people do with it.
Yeah.
So definitely credit them because they would love to see it. And then they can cross-promote you, like you said. They'll post your work for sure because they love posting fonts in use. So it's a win-win.
Yeah, I agree.
I just want to say we have 26 minutes until we review your your daily challenge. So we have the Photoshop Daily Challenge today. Right before us, Terry White was live. You can rewatch that session, and he showed us how to remove distracting elements from our photographs. So we have the Discord. I encourage you to go to the challenge tab right above the chat here on Behance and check out the Discord and join it. It's a community chat where you can talk to other designers, talk to people who work at Adobe who can give you feedback, and join these challenges. And it's a really fun way to hone your skills. So in 25 minutes, we'll be looking at some of your submissions to that challenge.
Yeah, that's cool. So now I'm creating this little border, geometric border, and just creating a blend of all of them just to like duplicate it quickly and easily. That's one of my favorite little tools to really use as well. And I love getting into the details of design, and so like whenever I pick up a can or something, or like a chocolate product or whatever it might be, I love just exploring the details, and I want someone else to have that experience with my design too. And so I really like to kind of put in some of those subtle nuances or those little aha moments, especially for the people who are going to sit there and appreciate it. And so that's why I like to just get in here and add like as many little like fun moments, especially when when the idea or concept behind this product is that it's rich in history and that it's coming from Mexico, and that it can have a lot of those layers and a lot of that vintage inspiration in it.
Do you usually design for a set type of products? Does that make sense?
Usually, yeah. I think a lot of my clients are product-based projects. So, like, I'm working with a jewelry company on rebranding and then applying packaging to that brand. Let's see, who else am I working with? A lot of sometimes restaurant work, where there's like an actual physical product or menu to hold in your hands. But
So
yeah,
it's
I think a
not
lot of the time.
centered on a specific type of thing, like
Yeah.
jewelry, alcohol,
Yeah.
restaurants. I saw you
Food.
did like a nail salon.
Yeah. That one was fun too, because I love when I can make my projects become physical or tangible or something to like experience in person.
Is this a sun?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna make like some kind of a sun thing, especially with. I'm really liking these,
Yeah.
and I actually just like referenced this from Adobe stock too. You can see kind of the watermark on there, but yeah, I like this idea of having these like geometric sun things. So I think I'm gonna create some sort of a geometric sun here.
It's amazing what you can create with just one shape,
Yeah.
one or two shapes.
And you can like layer and yeah, create patterns.
Are any of you taking part in the Photoshop Daily Challenge? Let us know if we should look out for your submission in the Discord.
Gonna create some kind of a little thing over here. Just like making stuff up.
Looks great.
Another fun thing too that like I'll go back and forth between design and like when I get stumped, I'll look back and like figure out more references. There was and sometimes it's fun to look at like actual historic things too that are like scanned old illustrations, and you never know what you're going to come across as far as like a little moment of inspiration. But yeah, I'm just gonna throw this kind of thing in here and see if this does much. They were really liking the sun concept too, so I think it'll be good to have something like that in here.
Yeah.
So for color, I'm not really sure. I just was kind of doing like desert colors, but I don't know. Does anyone like have any color references or?
I really like this kind of burnt, what's it called?
Yeah, it's like a
Sienna.
yeah.
I'm thinking of like Crayola crayon colors. Burnt sienna.
Yeah.
It looks cool. But since it's cucumber lime, what's it?
Cucumber lime basil.
It seems like it
Yeah.
would be green,
Yeah.
but that's
could
this
do like
specific
a-
flavor. So I don't know if you
Yeah.
would want like everything to have a unified color, but each flavor to have a little element that's a different color.
Yeah. Yeah, I could always make it green. Does anyone have a preference?
What does everyone think?
Green, or what are we gonna call this? Burnt sienna. Crayola burnt sienna. So I can basically just use that. This will be can number 1, we'll call this. I could always change this too. So what I'll do, so when you change one pattern, it'll change all of them. So I have to actually duplicate this swatch and then click into that swatch to create this color. The other thing too is it hides everything when you go into it. So what I end up doing is I'll make sure I actually create this swatch because I'm not going to be able to eyedrop it once I click into this. So then I'll click into it, go to my swatches, grab that color again.
Okay.
This color's
Val says, I like the green and orange together. Kirk says green. Hugo loves the theme. Diego says both. Stardoll says green. Heidi says color should reflect the flavor. Richard says both. Massimiliano likes the sienna. So everyone's pretty divided.
Yeah.
But most people like everything.
Yeah. And the funny thing too is when it comes to color, it's so subjective with the client. And like some clients that I have, they might actually love it and just say like, go with whatever, we trust you. Or some clients will get really picky about color and then will start sending me a ton of color references and saying, we want it this exact color. And so that happened actually with that spa, that nail salon that I did. They were very picky on pinks, and we went through several rounds of different pinks because pink can go so many different directions.
Yeah.
And so we finally landed on a pink, but there were so many iterations of throwing in like hot pink
Here,
colors.
I can show on my screen the final pink that she went with.
Yeah.
So did they send you a Pantone?
That's what I was just going to say. I have a Pantone book at home, and I just tear out the little Pantone swatches, throw it in an envelope, mail it, and say, here are a couple of pink swatches that I'm leaning towards. Let me know what you think. Especially when I have remote clients that are in another country or on the other side of the country. I think that helps because they get to see the color in person. And get to actually see it because sometimes screens change a lot from screen to screen.
Yeah,
and
it's really hard
arbitrary.
to show it on screen. But that's funny that you mail them a little piece of paper.
Yeah.
Even in these times, you still need mail.
Yeah.
That's really pretty.
Yeah, so it was a lot of fun. There's like there was 2 pinks we used, that lighter pink and then kind of a darker pink on the letterhead.
Cool.
But yeah.
All right, let's go back to the mezcal. Stardoll says, now I like the red better.
This looks really Christmassy together, doesn't it?
I didn't think of that, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's hard because it should be the color of the product, but then like within a certain range, I don't know.
Corey asks if you use any color scheme programs to help you find colors.
Color scheme programs? Tell me more.
Well, we have Adobe Color.
Oh, no, I've never used Adobe Color.
Color.adobe.com.
This could be a tutorial for me, actually. Somebody share Adobe Color with me because I have never used it.
Well, if you go to color.adobe.com, you get this color wheel and you can create palettes.
Yeah.
So I've only seen it used when I'm hosting and some guest is using it on the live stream.
Okay.
But it's really easy to create like these will
Ooh,
move
yeah.
together, so they're always kind of related, or then you can isolate them.
Wow.
And then you can
Was that what,
choose.
was it Corey that was asking? Is
Yeah.
that what Corey was talking about?
Well, I don't know, Corey.
Or colors.co.
Or coolers.
Oh, coolers.co.
Yeah. Coolers.
Ooh. Maybe I should save that link too.
Yeah. Save those links, and then this allows you to have like different ways that the colors are distributed on the wheel. So you can get different, you can start here, for example, like I want things that complement orange, I want it to be more pastel or more vibrant, and then you can go to different, I don't know a lot about color, so I don't know what these words mean, but I just go through them and I'm like, that's cool.
Yeah.
Complementary, I know what that means.
Yeah.
But
That's
it helps
fun.
you find new palettes, and then you can save it, and then your color theme will be saved to your libraries.
Oh.
So then you can access it in the apps.
Wow. Okay. Well,
that's
thank
a
you,
new
Corey. I'm going to have to try that because
Yeah.
that's extremely helpful.
And Heidi says capture. Yeah, you can use capture. So
Okay.
let's say you were in Mexico and you saw this cool tapestry and you're like, I like those colors for my Mezcal brand. You can use Adobe Capture and capture that color palette, and then that palette will also be added to your libraries.
Okay.
So you need to
Cool.
download Capture on your phone too.
Oh,
We'll
I
do that
do.
after.
Okay.
We'll do that so she has it for tomorrow.
Yeah, good idea. So I'm just gonna leave the green and red. I mean, it might need to be green, but I'm just gonna leave that there. We'll figure that debate out after. I'm gonna move on to a new option. I'm kind of digging, so I might use Knockout for my next option. Knockout's a fun font family. I don't usually use the extended versions, but because it feels a little less used, you usually see Knockout as like the condensed version. So
Yeah.
I think I'm going to use this extended version, and it feels a little more vintage to me than some of the taller ones too. So let's see. One concept that I kind of want to go into is this kind of a look where we've got a scene. And I know that they really loved those. Another reference that I saw that I love too are these stairs.
Wow.
And
That's
it
really
kind of
cool.
makes me think of like pyramids or Aztec pyramids and just like a lot of the architecture that's just so historic. And since Mezcal is such a historic product or something that's been made for a long time, I want to tap into that rich history. So I think I'm going to make some sort of a pyramid, and I'm just going to duplicate squares over here because that seems like the most geometrically sound way to do it. So that I'm not creating some pen tool
Yeah.
mess.
Oh, I like it. This is starting to look like that first mood board that was all clean and
Oh
black
yeah,
and white.
that was another reference that I had in there. Thank you for the reminder. I had this reference
yeah.
too. Oops. That I really liked, and that had that Aztec stair step too. And so I really want to pull that reference into it.
I already love this.
Good. And it's funny because like with products, especially food products, it's always about creating something that's the most visually, like a visual standout, I guess you could say.
Yeah, like when you're ready to go to the park with your friends.
Yeah.
You're picking up like cheese and baguettes and hummus and guacamole and chips.
That sounds fun.
I'm hungry.
Can we do that after this?
And then you're looking at all of the shelves and you're looking for drinks to bring with you.
Yeah.
You have all these choices of cans and bottles and soft drinks, so you want something that stands out in the store.
Yeah, it's true. And like another thing that I like to do is whenever I create shapes, I sometimes will just create shapes from other shapes too. And like it's fun to just start making new anchor points and like drag stuff out. And
This looks like Darth Vader.
oh, it does. Wow. Well, if you want to know how to make Darth Vader's helmet, that was just a quick rundown for
It's
you.
the official mezcal of Star Wars.
That can be tomorrow's challenge, right? Make the most visually abstract representation of Star Wars characters that you possibly can. I'm actually trying to make a hill. It doesn't look very hilly.
Well, if the bottom was straight, I think it would look...
Yeah, that's
Hilly.
true.
Val says, heavy breathing.
Not gonna try it. I'd have to do it into the microphone or something.
I know. We'll do that later.
Let's see. I think I'm gonna continue on with some of this green stuff going on.
Hi, Victor. Welcome. If anyone else is new to this stream, say hello. We're working on a brand identity for a mezcal brand, and it's a can, and it's very modern and fun. So we've already explored one option. This is our second option for Amber's client. And for those of you that didn't hear Amber's intro, Amber AC is a graphic designer living in Los Angeles, and she has a studio called Nice People Co. So this is like a Aztec or kind of historic architecture and a scene.
Yeah, just creating some kind of a scene, different greens, and we're gonna get this cucumber lime fresh taste into this one. I mean, it's mezcal, so it still has to have that slightly smoky flavor. So I'm trying to keep it like still a little vintage feeling.
Yeah.
And like, keep looking back at my
Both of your landscape or still life kind of images have both the burnt color and the green.
Yeah.
It seems to work well together.
Yeah. And then I like having fun with type too. So I'm going to create this one. I think I'm gonna have text running on circles. Just circle after circle after circle. So we've got...
Hi, Layel. Welcome.
And sometimes, actually, I'm just gonna cut these in half too, because it'll be much easier to work with those. And like sometimes you can do this, this is my quick Command Y to get into this preview mode, so you can actually see stuff that might be hidden. It's also a nice way to like grab layers. So let's see. Oh, this is also that misspelled one. Elenita, and then under that I'm gonna have the first name, or the name, or like what the actual product is, because I think they need to see that first, and then after that I'll have the flavor.
Hi, Anayat. Welcome. Do you have advice for Munir? He says, I'm a graphic and UX designer. Should I make 2 separate portfolios for each one or combine them into one portfolio?
Oh.
What do you think?
I guess it depends on what the UX design looks like. If they look very different from each other, then yeah, maybe having 2 portfolios is good. But it's also nice to have that versatility in there and to show it all. And so, like, I've seen other designers who they'll have a website and then you can go to like different parts of their website and it looks completely different because they'll have like the illustration part and then the design part and maybe the art direction part or photography. And I think sometimes, showing that really helps people to see the versatility that you have and like all of the other stuff that you can bring to the table.
That's great advice. Yeah, it's important to show how much you can do because
Yeah.
your client might need both of those things.
Yeah. So like if you have a Behance page and you want to have both of those represented, I would probably do the stuff that's most important to you at the top and let those things live with each other. And then you scroll down the page and have your projects for like UX design after that. And I think having both of those on there and within their own groups will help keep everything a little more cohesive too.
Cool.
It says, guess it depends on what type of design job you're going for, which
Yeah.
is true.
You could have a combined one and then separate ones. So like if you get a UX client opportunity, you can just send them your UX work.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe have 3 separate places where you can access your work
Yeah.
if you're feeling ambitious.
Yeah, it's true.
I love these colors. They're looking really nice.
Thank you. Let's see. I have a few of my go-to fonts. A few more trials that I have that I'm gonna work through and see which ones they like. I'm gonna use this Pressura font here because it's nice and rounded on the edges, and I really
Yeah,
like that
that's
look
nice.
because it feels vintage to me, having rounded edges. Feels like it was actual letterpress that was stamped and the ink was bleeding on the edges or something like that.
So in 2 minutes, we'll be looking at some of your Photoshop Daily challenges. And then after that, we'll have about 15 minutes till the end.
Ooh.
So we might not see this whole thing finish.
Yeah. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put these on a can too as we wrap up and have these 2 directions ready to send to the client, or I'll send it to the client today and then we'll go through their feedback tomorrow.
So this is really happening?
Yeah. So
Oh.
this is a real client project. They're in
I
LA.
knew they were real, but I didn't know if you were actually going to send it to them.
Yeah.
today.
We'll just do 2 rounds. So we're gonna do this today, get their feedback tomorrow, go through their feedback, and then start applying this onto other applications, possibly business cards or other things like that. And then on the 3rd day, I was thinking of taking this and putting it into an actual die line for the printer, ready to go. So
Nice.
kind of taking it from mock-up concept to what you actually have to do to get it to print.
That's exciting.
So I need to add a few more lines in here. Probably this made from Mezcal or made from Agave line. I think for this one, I still want this agave plant in here.
Hugo is very excited about this process.
Oh, good. Thank you, Hugo. And he was our winner.
Yeah.
Wow.
Hugo is an MVP today.
Yeah. Thank you for your support. I feel like I've got a cheerleader on my side.
You do.
Helping me through this process.
I think it's very rare. Well, we have had a lot of guests who are designing for a real client, but it's usually work that they already did and they're doing a different version, or they're going to talk to their client next week. But it's amazing to have someone that will talk to their client today.
Yeah.
And then we'll see what they say.
I think it'll be fun to just get their first initial feedback.
Yeah, because that's not the kind of
that.
thing that you don't usually hear from other designers what their client's feedback was.
Yeah.
In real time.
Yeah.
So.
And it's hard to know what to do with some feedback. Or sometimes their feedback is they don't like any of it. And
Yeah.
that's stressful for a designer, but it happens. And it's not the end of the world. And I think it's important for the client to know it's not the end of the world, because they want to make sure that they're happy with what they're paying for. Mm-hmm. And you want to make sure you're delivering that. And so in an effort to make sure they're happy, like I tell them, I'm in this with you. We're going to get this until you're happy with it, because that's what matters. And sometimes it takes a few more rounds of revisions than I anticipated, and that's okay too. My job is to make sure that they're happy and that they walk away happy, because you never know what other projects that'll turn into or who else they'll send your way because of that. And so that's why this particular project is exciting for me, because I don't get to work on a lot of spirits or alcohol projects, and I feel like there's a lot of creativity within that industry.
Yeah.
And a lot of people have fun with the different designs on bottles, and there's more money with those print jobs because it's a more expensive product, and so you get to have fun with gold foil or embossing or whatever it might be. And so so those kinds of projects excite me. So when I get a client that is in an industry that I want to work more in, then I take that project and I run with it, and I make it the absolute best that it can be, because it'll reflect on me as well.
That's great. So I'm going to take this opportunity to go into the Discord and see some of your submissions for the daily challenge.
Cool.
So just as a reference, this is the image that Terry White used in his stream earlier today, and you can download it from Dropbox. So I just wanted to take a look at the original to see how everyone modifies it to remove the distracting objects. So here I am in the Discord looking at some of the submissions. So here is Ken. So this was the original image, and then removing the distracting objects, you get this image. That's so cool.
Ooh.
It looks like
I don't even, wait, what did the old one look like?
this.
Oh, wow.
He removed all of the people.
Oh, wow.
Brought the really important elements to the forefront, cropped it really well.
And the coloring looks amazing.
Yeah, it looks
Wow.
kind of vintage and moody.
Yeah, it changed the photo from being what felt like a snapshot to now feeling like a professional photo.
Yeah, it's really cool. And then a black and white version too.
Ooh.
Awesome.
Ooh, that's a really nice black and white. You can
And
tell
there's
that
a
he
bear
put
right
thought
there.
into that.
I think
Oh.
that's on a sign behind
Oh,
the
yeah.
truck. That's funny. Very well done.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
So these are day 3 challenges. I'm just going to look at the day 6 challenges here. Oh, so this is that same image. So as you can see, this is the original, and it's first of all not straight.
Mm-hmm.
And also you have this big ship here. So that's removed. All the stuff over here is removed, and then the color was changed. It looks really good.
Yeah.
That was from Beard BG.
Way to go, Beard BG.
Grid Pen agrees. Lynette. Very cool.
Yeah.
Same things removed.
Little boost in
boat.
color.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Here's an image with a lot of things around it. You don't really get the important thing in the forefront, and then that's so much better.
Yeah. Yeah, cleaned up the wall.
Oh, this is a
they
great
made a little
GIF.
animation.
Yeah.
Nice.
That's a great way to show the work that you did.
Yeah.
That's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Look at that. It's a completely different image.
Clients love to see stuff like that too.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, that's the work that went into it. Yeah.
Because they think they'll know something looks better, but they won't know why.
Yeah.
So showing them what you did is really good. That's cool. Different coloring. Not as saturated. Do you do photography?
No. I mean, just like DIY, I'll shoot some of my own work sometimes. But it's not that exciting, so I usually prefer to use a photographer.
Yeah, it's good to know what your strengths
Yeah.
are. And
Yeah, I'm all about using other people that are better than me at something.
here's another one. So these light fixtures
Yeah.
and wires were removed. That
Ooh.
looks so cool.
I love it. I'm loving the boost in color in a lot of these too.
Yeah.
It's done subtly, but the perfect amount.
That's day 5. Oh, here's day 6. Oh, so this person removed the little boat instead of the big one.
Oh, okay.
It's still on an angle though, so maybe try to
yeah.
straighten it out because I'm kind of
Seasick.
yeah. I feel like I'm on that boat.
That's true.
But it's cool that you did something different. You didn't
Yeah.
remove the obvious.
And another boost in color.
Okay.
Oh, little
This
sand
looks a lot better.
sculpture.
than it was.
Oh. What was in?
Nice. So
yeah.
Carrie removed. There's a lot of sand in the first one, so it just brought the sculpture
Yeah,
more
that's
into
good.
focus. What's this one? Sorry about the load time, guys. Maybe this
Doot,
image has
doot.
a lot of
Sleep,
stuff
bloop,
in it.
blop.
Okay, maybe that's not going to happen. Sorry, Aunt. Bab Sam's remove distraction. So that's before.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is the after.
Cool.
So all the stuff up at the top was removed and you're just focusing on the goose.
Yeah. Looks sharper too.
Yeah. Oh, this is great by Pika. There's all this stuff, houses.
Oh yeah.
Stuff around, and then here it is with just the kite.
Like an empty field.
Yeah. It really allows you to focus on the important thing.
Yeah. Wow. That must have been a lot of work. That horizon looks really good.
Yeah.
Ooh,
Oh.
footsteps. I always wondered that. You see some of those those ones on social media where they're just in the middle of the desert in the sand and they're just standing there with the wind flowing and there's no footsteps around them and you're like, how did they do that?
I know.
Well, there you go.
That's really cool. It looks flawless.
Yeah. So good.
Although you wonder how they got there.
Yeah. Maybe it's better for the actual image. It'd look better if they're like standing there looking out and not walking.
Yeah, since they're walking. Oh, he's saying now they're ghosts. Yeah, it makes it look kind of ethereal.
Yeah.
They just landed there.
Yeah. Like if you're going to do a car commercial in the middle of the desert, you got to move the car there, but then just clean up all of the mess around it.
Good job, Ralph. Good job, Kramer. removing all those other elements. Abby, this is a little crazy over here.
Ooh.
It looks like an extraterrestrial
Oh, yeah.
image.
Those greens really pop.
Yeah.
Very vibrant greens.
Ira, very nice. Gerard, so which one's the before? Well, I'm guessing this is the before.
Oh, yeah.
So there's a little house, a little fence and everything, and then everything's removed and it's just the flag.
Wow.
That's pretty cool. It looks almost seamless in the grass. We have so many magicians around here.
Yeah.
Here's the last one before. Oh, so this truck is this van is removed.
Oh, wow. That's a big thing to remove.
Yeah. It still looks great. You can't even tell. But next time, don't show us the before and after over the thing that you replaced, because we want to be able to see it really well. So maybe put your words in a less prominent place, and that'll help to really highlight the amazing work that you did. Thank you everyone for submitting stuff to the challenge, and you're still doing so. Jonathan is submitting right now. It's really cool to see things coming in live. And make sure that you introduce yourself if you're new to Discord. Here, there's a channel for introductions. You can ask questions. You can get new tricks, new tips from people. And all of our experts are in here. Terry is in here. He was just live earlier, and then you can ask him a question. So that's really awesome. I know you can ask us things live, but sometimes you get better feedback if we have more time to sit and answer. So this is the last one that just came in. Jonathan shows us this one before, and it has a wire going across, and he removed that, and we have a clean sky right here.
Yeah.
Cool. So keep submitting your stuff for the challenges. It's a great way to learn. And we'll go back to Amber's work. So we have another about 10-15 minutes left.
Cool.
Well, let's be accurate. We have 13 minutes left, I think.
If we're going to be exact.
Yeah.
Okay, so, I don't know. What do you have any questions about what I'm doing or my process?
Yeah,
I feel like
we
it's
have
really
a few
quiet.
more minutes left for questions today. We'll be back tomorrow, but right now we have some time to answer anything you have about this specific project or Amber's work in general. I feel like there isn't enough contrast between the hill and the pyramid.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I should probably boost that. Whoa. Whoa.
You have so many greens. Do you use Pantone so that the printing can be consistent?
Yeah, sometimes I'll use that just because it's really hard to find a Pantone after that's exact, and then you're like, oh, I should have just started with Pantone.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's easier. Sometimes I'll literally just eyedrop from some of my references too. So yeah, it kind of goes either way. But I remembered I really liked this flip-flop action going on here. So I think I want to change my pattern just a little bit to create more of this flip-flop interaction going on. And I think that will help create something a little more unusual or different.
How do you deal with a client that thinks they know everything about design and keeps interrupting you?
Client that knows everything about design.
Thinks they know.
Thinks they know.
Or maybe they do. Like you said, sometimes your clients know how to use Adobe programs and they like modify things.
I've had clients that sometimes when they present something, an option, as frustrating as it is, sometimes they're right. Like it's nice to hear or see another perspective, because then you realize, oh, okay, I see where you're going with this, and I think this will make the project better. So I try to take my ego out of the project or process sometimes, because I'm not always right, and I can always use another brain or another head in a project. And so in that sense, it's nice to gauge where they want to go or what their goals are for a project. But yeah, like it's hard because some of that is in my vetting process too. So there was a client that I got on a call with, a potential client. She said she was had already worked with another designer, and that she said she basically designed the whole thing, and that all of the execution or all the work that happened, she kept saying, I did that, or I told her to do exactly that. And so she was basically really frustrated on the call with this previous designer that she worked with. And that was my red flag. I didn't need to hear any more. I thought, what will make me any different than your previous designer? And how will you treat me differently than the other designer? So I think that alone helped me to know this is not the right client for me. This will be a client that I think I'll have a hard time working with. And so I just said that I don't think I'm the right fit for this project. So sometimes you have to have conversations with people and kind of vet your clients like that.
That makes sense. Do you generally charge a flat rate for this kind of project or an hourly rate?
I don't do hourly rates because there's only so many hours in my life, and that just means I'm never going to get anywhere if I only charge for my hours of my life. I'd prefer to be able to grow and profit more and not be limited by my hours. So it's a value that I'm bringing to a project. And so I don't just say this is the same price for everyone, because sometimes you have clients that are really big clients, or that you have to kind of think of it as a license, where, for example, type designers, they license their fonts for websites based on how many views, how many monthly views that site's going to get. So there's like, if it's going to be up to 20,000, that's what your price is going to be. If it's going to be up to 100,000 or 1 million views, that price changes because it's based on how many people are going to view it, the scale or scope of the project. And so I kind of base my pricing on that, as far as how big is this project? Is this product in particular, are they going to sell at Whole Foods, for example? Or are they just going to sell online and it's going to be a small boutique thing? Is this just a product that's going to live temporarily and it's like a limited time only product that they're gifting to someone? And so asking some of those questions at the beginning helps me to gauge how big of a project this is. What is the scope? How many eyes are going to be on this design? Where is this design going to live in, like national campaigns or advertising, things like that. And when you get a better idea of that, that's when you can gauge kind of the license of the work, similar to how an Illustrator would work as well.
Yeah, that makes sense. Ty and Caroline love your tips.
Oh, good. Yeah, because sometimes you get startup people or small startups, and then sometimes you get, I worked for Disney recently, and they wanted me to create a logo for them. And so sometimes you'll get clients like Disney that will come to you, and they need a logo for a project.
What if they ask you for a logo and they say, this logo is for this one TV show and it's for like this one special episode, but then after that they end up using it for a ton of other things? Do you have like something in the contract that says if you use this for printed materials?
I actually do that for packaging too. So I'll say this design is only good for the 3 SKUs that we're designing it for. They had like this particular client, they have 5 flavors that we're going to design for, and so the design is only good for those 5 SKUs. If they want to add 3 more SKUs in 2 years, for example, then they have to come to me and license the work for additional SKUs. So that is my way of limiting it so that they can't get way more traction and work out of a much smaller budget. And that happens with a lot of startups. Sometimes they have a tiny budget at the beginning and then they grow into a multi-million-dollar company.
Yeah.
And then you're like, wait, but it was like the whole Nike issue. Like, wait, I gave you this one small logo and I thought it was just going to be this small startup. But now it's on every single one of your products. It's on all your shoes. It's the Nike swoosh. It's everywhere. And I only charged you for this much when I knew it was only going to be this big of a project. So yeah, I think having conversations with your clients to let them know that there is a scope of work and there is a limit to the contract will help them understand and know that this isn't limitless work.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, so we have 5 more minutes or less. So
let's put this.
Wrap it up.
I'm going to finish this one later, but let's put this one at least on a can. So I'll buy mock-ups online. I don't make these mock-ups. It makes my life a lot easier so I can focus on the design. And so I don't try to do my own photoshopping. It could get dangerous.
Have you used Adobe Dimension?
I haven't yet, but I've heard great things about it. And so I want to get more into it.
Yeah, it's a good way. I have never used it, but I've seen really cool things happen in Dimension.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so I'm gonna place, I just literally copied and pasted this as a vector smart object. I am doing that because it gives me the chance to go into it and edit it after. So I'm just gonna back this with white because I did an opacity on that cream in the background. And then let's see how this is looking so far. So this particular mock-up, it looks like they've got major highlights on it that I'm going to reduce so that you can see my design a little better.
Cool.
They also have some shadows that I think I'll flatten out too. So it was a little extreme for my product there.
That's
so
awesome.
Then I'm noticing now that the ratio of this label is a little off. So now what I can do is go into this vector smart object. It's going to open it for me in Illustrator. And then I can make adjustments now. And it's nice to do that because it's just a mock-up and I want to sell this product to the client. So sometimes you just have to like make a few edits here, make it work.
It's so amazing to see it on our real,
Yeah.
well, a mocked up real can.
I feel like that goes a long way for clients too, is helping them visualize it in real life or to see what it's actually going to look like. So I just hit Command Save and then it updates. It's basically like a linked file. And then I have to save this one and go back to this one and now update it there too. So now it's longer.
Yeah, and then you can keep referring to that and making tweaks.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So we have a minute left.
Cool.
So just want to say thanks to everyone who joined.
Thank you.
And thanks, Amber, for the first day.
Yeah,
So
this was fun.
we'll be back tomorrow. So you're going to send some of this stuff to your client.
Yeah. I'm going to send them the logos and the cans and gauge how they feel about these 2 cans so far.
Yeah. And then tomorrow we'll let you know what they felt and we'll make any necessary changes and keep working on it. So make sure you come back same time tomorrow, same time Thursday. Amber and I will be here working on this amazing branding project. So we'll see you tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.